Hello, I'm Paul Michelman, Director of Content for HarvardBusiness.org, and I am delighted to be joined today by executive coaching guru, teacher, and author Marshall Goldsmith. Marshall writes the Ask the Coach blog for HarvardBusiness.org, and his latest book is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Marshall, thanks for joining me today.
Very happy to be here.
Marshall, in your Ask the Coach blog, you address questions from our readers as well as other managers you encounter about their biggest challenges on the job. And what I'd like to do today is look at a couple of questions that have recently come across the transom.
Great.
So here's the first. How is the role of a business leader changing? And will the qualities of a great leader be different in the future, or is great leadership timeless?
And the answer is both of the above. How is the role of a leader changing? We did some research on this, interviewing 200 specially selected high potential leaders from around the world, and asked them, how's the leader of the future different from the leader of the past? Some elements were the same, and they probably would be the same 100 years from today. Things like integrity, customer satisfaction, competitive advantage, communicating a vision. You could pretty much guess a lot of these characteristics have always been important for leaders. On the other hand, we found 5 characteristics that were different for the future than they were in the past. These were changing dynamics of leadership. The first one is called thinking globally. If you look at the leader of the past, leadership was largely domestic. It was regional and then perhaps countrywide, not really global for most leaders. Today, even leaders that deal in a domestic market have to look at global implications in terms of suppliers, in terms of support staff. So global thinking came out as a big change. Another big thing that came out as a difference is appreciating cross-cultural diversity. In America, historically, we had virtually no diversity. It was largely white males. Then we came into diversity of dealing with women, perhaps minorities in America. Today, we're looking at cross-cultural diversity, which is a whole wide element of what does it mean to work with different religions, different cultures, different peoples from around the world. And that's also a change in the world of leadership. The third one is called technological savvy. Now, that doesn't mean that every great leader has to be a technician. What it means, though, is you have to know how does technology impact your core business. You have to be able to hire people who are technologically gifted, and you have to be technically competent enough to really navigate in the new world. Then we came up with 2 others. The next one is building alliances and partnerships. Historically, leaders often didn't work in the area of alliance and partnerships, and today it's a common part of the job. A great example is IBM. In the old days, IBM had no alliances and partnerships. They were proud of the fact that everything was just IBM. Today in IBM, they have a different alliance or partnership every day almost, every week. Just a constant changing in terms of alliances, partnerships, building all kinds of different relationships. And then the final one that we came up with in our research is called sharing leadership. Peter Drucker said the leader of the past knew how to tell. The leader of the future knows how to ask. A big change in leadership today is historically the leader knew more than the direct reports. There was an apprentice model. The direct reports would work up, then learn more, know more than the next direct reports, and evolve. Today, most leaders manage people called knowledge workers. What's the definition of a knowledge worker? They know more about what they're doing than their boss does. And when we manage people that know more about what they're doing than we do, we can't tell them what to do and how to do it. We have to ask, listen, and learn, and leadership becomes a shared responsibility. Now, I mentioned these 5 in my blog. I got a great post from one of our readers. And he came up with an idea that I think looking back on our research, kind of got left out. It's called learning agility. Really, the leader of the future is a person who is continuously learning and growing. And as the world has changed, this learning agility has become more and more and more important.
Marshall, I hear one kind of common theme throughout several of these, the notion of openness and the need to be more open. Open to the ideas of other people, open to learning new ideas, open to learning about new cultures. I think we all like to think we're very open, but we're probably not. How do we train ourselves to think differently?
Well, you know, I'm going to even give you a bigger challenge. How do we train ourselves to act differently? Because if you think differently but you don't act differently, it doesn't help a whole lot. That's basically what I do in my day job. I teach leaders how to learn, And what I teach leaders is the importance of asking for input. How can I be a better leader? How can I learn from you? How can I help the team? Peter Drucker really instilled in me the value of asking. That was a big theme in a lot of his work. And asking, getting feedback, responding to people, following up, learning. And I did a research study with 86,000 respondents. And it showed that leaders who ask for input, listen, respond in an open way, follow up in a disciplined way, invariably are seen as more effective leaders. Leaders that don't respond, don't follow up, typically don't get better.